Hi guys, and welcome back to Car Focused. Today's video, as you can probably see behind me here, is a car review, and this car review is actually one of my own personal cars. This is a new addition to the Car Focused garage, so to speak. You're probably aware that we had a Golf GTI DSG Performance, a 2015 variant, which I've reviewed before. That car has now been replaced by this car, and the reason for that is I'm expanding my family, having our first child soon, so we need to kind of make various compromises here and there, and the car was one of them. We felt the Golf GTI was probably a bit too small for what we kind of wanted moving forward, so the brief was it had to be modern, preferably German as well, because we like the overall sort of build quality of the Golf. Fast, fuel efficient, good looking, and obviously roomy. So we ended up with this car here, which is a 2016 Audi A4 Avant. This is the facelifted B9 version, and it's also the 3-litre V6 TDI, 218 brake horsepower. So it's not the maximum output variant; it's the lower one. Quattro four-wheel drive system. So it's fast, it's fuel efficient, it's roomy with the estate. It's got a beautiful interior, it's very well built, and yeah, for us it's just perfect. So this car is the sport version, so it kind of sits in the middle between the bottom of the line SE, and then you've got the S line, and obviously RS4, which sits at the top. But for the price, we paid £16,000 for this with just over 50,000 miles on the clock. I thought it was quite a good deal, to be fair, and it just kind of gets you into that premium car bracket at a reasonable price, and that's kind of what we wanted. And also with the sport, you've got the slightly smaller 17-inch alloy wheels with higher profile 55 profile tyres, and it just makes the car much more comfortable and much quieter inside on the drive. You get some nice sort of sporty body styling, a really well built interior, extra features such as Apple CarPlay, sat-nav, a nicer steering wheel. We haven't got leather in this car. It's not the highest spec of cars we could have had, but it's got all the things we need, and it does the job perfectly, to be fair. Anyway, I think that's enough chatting on the outside of the car. I think what we need to do now is get inside, go for a drive, and I can explain to you just exactly what it is like to be behind the wheel. Right guys, so here we are inside my Audi A4 Avant 2016 Sport. So first impressions of driving this car. I've driven this car we've had this car for over a month now, so I'm kind of well used to it now, so to speak, and I feel I've got quite a good feel of the car, and I can kind of give you quite a good impression on what the car's like. So inside of this car is lovely. Now I'm used to, I don't want to slate any other manufacturers here, but I'm used to Ford. So obviously I have a Mark II Ford Focus RS, and I have a Mark III Focus Diesel Estate as a daily driver. And when you get into something like this, obviously it costs more than my Mark III daily driver, but the quality in here is just second to none. This is a beautiful interior. The way the dashboard is designed and laid out, the feel of the materials, the steering wheel, just everything, all of this in the middle here, the center console, it's just really well put together, and it doesn't make any noises. There's no creaking, there's no rattling. It's just a solid interior, and it's kind of what you'd expect from an Audi. The creature comforts in this car, I really like this car at night because this has an LED lighting package, so you get LED lights in the door handles here, LED lights along the door cards, strip LED lighting on the center console. You obviously get mood lighting in the middle, footwell lighting in the front and the rear. Even the little switches here for the air vents, they light up as well, so at night it just looks really nice. And the car just gives you a really premium feel, and when you're kind of sat in here surrounded by all this center console, you just feel really kind of cozy and comfortable. Now, Tech-wise, this is quite a base spec car, as I already touched upon. It hadn't been spec'd with too much from the factory. We've got the Apple CarPlay option here. It's got sat-nav as well, but we don't have things like the virtual cockpit. I mean, I love the Audi virtual cockpit, particularly with the Google Maps you can have on there with the Google Earth layout. Really nice touch. But the infotainment, as it is plenty sufficient. We've got a nice menu on the system where you can look at your sort of service intervals, your oil level. You can customize features with the car, central locking features, you know, parking sensor stuff, the lighting inside. You can have it certain, you know, dimness or brightness. Quite a lot of features on there. Also, you've got your drive select mode where you can have your various driving modes. So your comfort, your dynamic, your auto, your eco modes. I drive this car in auto. 90% of the time it kind of gives you an all-round perfect balance. So if you're driving the car sensibly slowly, it kind of almost puts it in eco mode for you, and then when you want to kind of accelerate and overtake somebody, it will switch it up into dynamic. There's also the individual mode as well, so you can tailor the gearbox and the steering to suit your needs. Speaking of gearbox, we've got the 7-speed auto in this car. Now, it's a dual clutch gearbox. It's really nice. It's really quick on the gear change. There's only one negative thing I will say about the car, the gearbox that is, when you're in auto mode, that is the kick down. It's quite slow to initiate the kick down. So if you want to pass somebody quickly, the car will kind of think about it before it drops down a couple of gears. There is a kick down mode on the pedal, so if you put your foot all the way down, there's a button which you can feel. If you click that, the car does often go with a bit more urgency, but it still takes a little bit of time to kick down. So the way around that is just to use the paddles that we have on the steering wheel and just change gear manually, and then you've got full control over the gear changes. So yeah, inside this car also, we don't have the leather as I mentioned before, but we do have the fabric sports seats. They're very comfortable. These particular ones are manually adjustable, so there's no electric adjustment here, but they do the job perfectly well. I need to overtake a lorry quickly, guys, so we can experience a little bit of the power. So I will kick the car down. This car is fast. As I said, part of the brief was the car had to be big enough to put all the stuff in the boot, which we've got now because we've got a large boot with the estate. Had to be economical, so we've got the 3-litre V6 TDI engine, and that brings us on to speed. The 3-litre engine is fast. Even in this 218 bhp, guys, the lower powered version, this car is fast, and I'd say it's on par with the Golf GTI we had before in terms of speed. Anyway, I do digress slightly. The ride comfort in this car, we don't have the adaptive damping on this, it's just a standard suspension, but it's just like, it's like driving on a cloud. It's just so comfortable and it just flows over the bumps really nicely. And as I say, there's not as much road noise with the 17-inch alloy wheels and the 55 profile tyres. It just takes every bump and imperfection in the road in its stride. Obviously, you do get a compromise in handling. The car does feel a little bit bouncy, maybe, when you put the car into a corner at speed. Doesn't fill you with 100% confidence, but you don't buy this car to blast around a back road quickly. This is a cruiser. This is the sort of car you want to get a roof box on, have your family in, take it to the Alps or take it on a long road trip, sit back, have the speed, have the creature comforts and the refinement, and just enjoy yourself. And that is exactly why we bought this car. And at the minute, it's fulfilling everything we needed to do. Now it's going to be interesting when the child comes along, our child. We've got ISOFIX points obviously in the back, that's quite a standard thing now. So there should be plenty of room in there to have the car seat in there. And then the boot, it electronically opens, which is really handy for if you've got the pram. So you just approach the car, press the button on the key fob, the boot will open. You can chuck the pram in there and then press the button and just have it close itself. It's also got on the boot floor a reversible boot floor, so you can remove the carpeted area, flip it over, and you've got a nice hard surface which you can wipe clean. So if you've got dogs or anything like that, or you want to put something dirty in the back, flip it over. If it gets muddy, you can just wipe it clean and jobs are good. So moving on to the actual performance of this car. This car just wafts along brilliantly. I say waft, it effortlessly pulls you along at a fast rate of knots. Now, if you're leaving a junction, I'll tell you what, I'm going to pull into a junction here and show you where the car kind of really comes into its own, because I'll pull in here and we'll accelerate out, and I'll just show you what I'm talking about. So there's a car coming, so I'm going to quickly accelerate. This thing, it just wafts along nicely. You've got the Quattro system, so there's no trouble with traction out of junctions or when you're accelerating quickly, and it just blasts you down the road. And the power band is so smooth and it's quite linear. You don't really notice any, you don't really notice the gear changes when you're up and running. It's just so slick. And this engine is just glorious. It sounds almost like a petrol with a V6 when you're on the move. It's very smooth, it's economical. We did 200 miles and I measured the fuel efficiency, and we returned 52 miles per gallon over 200 miles, and that was a mixture of driving, a mixture of dual carriageway, a mixture of back roads, a mixture of traffic. And I think 52 miles per gallon for the performance you get is actually quite remarkable, with the size of the engine as well. So yeah, this car, for me, it's ticking all of the boxes. And as I say, for the price point, £16,000, you think of new cars now, how much they cost. You think of what you can get for £16,000 new, not a lot. So if you're willing to have a car that's kind of 3-4 years old, and you want to bump yourself into the premium bracket of the likes of an Audi, for example, then a car like this is perfect. You've still got the modern reliability, you've got the modern creature comforts, and you've got the performance and the refinement. And I think I'd rather spend the money on this than, say, like a Ford Focus estate, or, you know, the Ford Focus is a great car, but for the same money, for a slightly older car, I think I'd rather have one of these. Get yourself a service plan, pay into that each month, and then when the servicing comes around, it's not a big hit in the pocket. And the car should look after you. If you keep it well serviced, look after it, it shouldn't give you too many problems. So guys, we're just, before I wrap the video up, I think it's nice to kind of explain how the car does perform on a bit of a twisty road, because we do like to exploit the speed sometimes of these cars. It's not all about motorway cruising. So if we quickly switch it into, we'll go into dynamic, and I'll go across into manual. We'll drop it, we'll slow down, we'll drop it into third. Oh, there's a combine harvester coming, so we've got to watch out. Oh shit. Damn, this guy's taking up the whole road here. Hang on. This is interesting. And he's on the phone as well. Well, that's not very good, is it? He's on the phone. Anyway, this is a great opportunity to actually accelerate off. So we're in dynamic, we're in auto at the minute, so I'm going to pin the throttle. It just effortlessly blasts you down the road. We'll switch it across into manual. So we'll stay in third gear here. And a nice smooth power band. And you get that feeling of a fast car where it sort of pushes you back in the seat and you can feel it going through your body. You just get that feeling the whole way through the acceleration. So the whole time you're accelerating, you get that constant sort of push back in your seat, fast car feeling, and it's so linear, it just doesn't drop off. Now, because we've obviously run in the higher profile tyres and the softer suspension, the car does, as I say, the car does bounce around a little bit, but it is quite stable. At speed as well, on a straight road, the car is very stable, and the steering kind of weightens up as well. When you're in the auto mode, the steering does weight up a little bit, and it just makes the car feel a bit more kind of planted, so to speak. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it really. Just a whistle-stop tour overview of our Audi A4 Avant. I'd obviously love an Audi RS4, that's kind of my dream all-round daily car. You never know, maybe one day, but This isn't too much of a compromise, you know. It's obviously not as fast and not as nice looking and as attractive as an Audi RS4, but if you're on a tighter budget, then go for this engine with the Quattro and you won't feel too disappointed. I tell you what though, this thing picks up speed so quickly, it's quite deceptive. You can find yourself going a lot faster than what you think because it's so comfortable and smooth. Anyway guys, as always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If there's anything I've missed, I'm really sorry. I do these videos off the cuff. I like to just be real and honest with you guys, just how I'm feeling at that moment, and just try and draw upon a bit of experience I've had in the past as well. So if I have missed anything off, I do apologise. But until the next video guys, as always, stay safe, take care, and I shall see you soon.